Welcome back to The Slice. If you're noticing a different glow about my boy Steven over here to my left, maybe to your right, you're going to notice that dad glow. My man just had a kid. Yes. Oh, everybody say happy early Father's Day in the comments before we do anything. Tell him happy Father's Day. World's best dad. But this show will be to honor him and, of course, to honor all of the tennis that has been played recently. So today, obviously, we're going to go over the results of the last week. Then we're going to hit our main topic, the post US Open blues. Tennis feels a little bit different every year after the US Open because it's the last major. There's these tournaments on the Asian swing that the rest of the world just isn't as tuned into because of time differences, because of a lot of different factors. Next, our guy Karue-Sell. He is a challenger warrior, older dude shining a different light on tennis for the kind of, he's 30 years old, so he's giving a look into the life of that player. Out of the top 100, probably won't be in the top 100, but he just cracked the top 300 or 200.
Top 300. He
Top
just
300.
cracked top 300, and he's going to take that, what you just said there, as motivation to get in the top 100.
I believe in him, and we will have him on the show soon. And then lastly, we have a massive superstar coach/player relationship that has butted back. Naomi Osaka and Patrick Mouratoglou. Did I say that right?
No. But Mouratoglou, I think that's how you say
Mouratoglou.
it.
Patrick Mouratoglou. They are back together, which could cause, it's just an interesting dynamic that's going on there, especially with Naomi Osaka and some of the things she likes to put out there in the social media world. But we'll get into all of that and, of course, our smasher pass. But back to the first thing that we were talking about. Actually, before we get back to that, shout out Betway, who is presenting this episode. They have a lot of good value coming up once we get to our best bet when we get into this Tokyo tournament.
Yeah.
But before
Things are
that,
going crazy. Yeah.
Steven, talk to us about the dad life. You've ascended to new heights that I will not reach for years to come. Talk to us about it. Walk us through the whole process.
Yeah, that my last week has been pretty crazy. Last Sunday, today's Monday recording. Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, I guess, our middle son joined us. And it's been, craziest week of my life, I would say, for sure. Being a parent to like a new human that never existed before is just a crazy feeling and level of responsibility. But like JP said, I feel like you do level up when, with responsibility comes extra meaning and extra joy. Like it is pretty crazy to see this little person that we created, and he's healthy, and my wife Nicole is healthy, and we named him Shepherd, which we're stoked about. We think it's a strong name. If he's becomes a professional tennis player one day, it'll be like definitely unique on the tour. They'll be like, I've already been calling him, we call him Baby Shep, I call him Shepo, like Chapo, but Shepo. Which is funny. I'm always like Shepo. So yeah, he's cute. Looks like me. Looks like JP. I don't know.
Oh dang! Hey,
Sweet.
we need to tell the listeners something.
So yeah, it's just been an amazing week, but or kind of like 2 weeks. So we haven't done a podcast or really any videos since the end of the US Open. That is why. And I think it makes sense. He came with great timing because he came after the US Open, and there was really there was not that much tennis going on in the last 2 weeks. So a great time to take a little bit of a break, welcome him into the world, and figure all this out, figure out our sleep schedules. And I'm not too crazy tired right now, so happy about that. And any parenthood questions, JP, you could send them my way, because I don't think it'll be that long before you join us.
Yeah, probably about a year and a half, 2 years. Wait, but how did y'all land on Shepherd?
Nicole just liked it. She saw it on like a list of baby names, and it was like, that's a pretty unique name up here. Like, I don't know. You were saying that you knew someone who has a kid named Shepherd, but we'd never heard of anyone like that. And it's just like, oh, that's like a cool English word that has some cool. It's like a leader, natural born leader is kind of the meaning behind it. Leader of sheep, obviously. So might be a politician. You never know. Yeah, that's how we came to it.
Dang. And then it was funny because when we were texting, and this is exactly how I think I would feel. You said something like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like I'm just gonna have to return him at some
Yeah.
point, which I feel like is so accurate. Because in my head, when I picture having a kid, leaving the hospital with the new baby that you're just all of a sudden in charge of does not seem like reality.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, now does it feel more real?
Yeah, like, I think it does. I still feel like I was saying before, like, I just feel kind of like almost just like I'm watching a movie play out. Like, he literally wake up in the night, I'm taking him out of his thing, I'm changing his diaper, I'm like, rocking him to sleep, out watching a TV show, like, we're doing all the things, but as someone who thinks, you're like, I've thought through all these things before, and now they're just happening, so it's not,
Right.
like, all, like, doesn't even feel, like, that new to me. It's just like, "Okay, I've been preparing for this, and now we're doing it, and let's just make sure things keep going well." Um, but it's unbelievably fulfilling, and like he's so cute. It's just like insane. Like I just want to like eat him. Like it's like just the cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
His like little head. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it is pretty crazy when I do feel like there is part of that. It's like, yeah, are they gonna take this back, or am I just holding? Is this someone else's kid that I'm kind of just like extended
Right.
babysitting? Like, what makes it mine? Like it's just like crazy. So
Well, dude, what happens at hospitals? One of our friends was telling us, man, I can't remember if this happened to her friend or if our friend was the nurse and they witnessed it. But ultimately, this family took home, the doctors gave them the wrong baby after, they do all their stuff with it. And for
oh my
like
gosh.
2 weeks, they didn't realize it. Then the hospital finally calls and is like, hey, we're so sorry. We messed up. And then the whole joke was like, well, hang on, like, what's the other baby doing? Because this is going pretty well right now. I've put in my 2 weeks with it. Maybe we wanna.
Yeah, they're like, oh
But I was
yeah, this other
dying.
baby's like colicky, just like screaming constantly.
Yeah.
That's
And then
that's crazy. What they do up here in Canada, I don't know. They had or in the hospital we were on, they literally put like a thing on his ankle, like
right.
immediately that has like a tracker. So
Oh,
kind of crazy. I know the U.S. deep state people wouldn't like this or deep state doubters, but like like you can't take the baby out of the hospital until they like allow you to essentially.
got you.
So I'm like, it makes you kind of feel weird. They're like, that's like essentially property of the state until they're like, we deem you to be like fit parents.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
these
is
nurses are all coming in. The nurses are all coming in, like showing us how to like bathe it and like change diapers. I'm like, you checking me out? Like, are you trying to like
yeah,
thinking you're
what
like,
if I answer no?
I'm out this window before you can say anything. It's no,
Yeah,
but apparently, it's for like crazy situations where babies are getting born and there's like parents aren't really, eye to eye or whatever. Like it's more about
right.
like that kind of, or like the government is actually going to take the baby because the parents are nuts and they're like, we're not. Yeah. This anyway. So it is weird. There's all these little things that you don't ever think about because you don't ever think about it until you're kind of pregnant or like ready to have a kid. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's been a crazy week for me. But how about you, JP? I know you're now, you're into what, your fourth week of marriage, third week?
Yeah, we're officially over a month in,
Okay.
and it's been good. We have moved into our new apartment. There has been some hiccups along the way, but hopefully next week I'm gonna have some things on this wall that make my screen pop like Stevens does. Maybe I need to get some wood rackets,
Yep.
but it's been good, man. I've been fighting. The only true kind of battle I've had is this is a whole new complex. So there's still like three other buildings being built,
Oh,
and
okay.
the building across from us, all of last week, the fire alarm went off all night. And I'm a light sleeper. So I was averaging like 3 to 4 hours a night of sleep a night. And I'm
JP's
just like
getting worse sleeps than I am.
literally. And so, but other than that, we like the space. We just got our couch. We got to go pick up his TV stand tonight. But it's slowly coming together. My equilibrium is starting to come back in my body. I'm gonna be 1,000 times more focused in my job, in this podcast, in all of these things in my life once this is settled because it's been messing with my head.
Well,
but we're
you've been
almost
keeping
back.
it together well, man. It's what about? Tell me about. Sorry to cut in there. Your Gamecocks. I don't want to bring up a soft spot for you, but I know that was part of your last week as well.
Yeah, for the listeners out there that keep up with college football, y'all know what happened. The whole nation knows what happened to us. We got screwed, and I don't just say this lightly because I normally joke around. If we get beat by like 4 touchdowns, I'll say like, "Oh, it was the refs," when clearly it's not the refs. Like we just got whooped.
Yeah.
But this time was truly the refs. This game happened 2 weeks ago versus LSU. The whole Twitter world came together, and there's no better feeling than when you're miserable and going on Twitter seeking validation and finding validation because it's
Yeah.
so rare to get that on that app. And
Yeah.
it's like, thank God I'm not the only one that thinks this, and everybody that has no skin in the game, it also agrees with me. And the Gamecocks are a lot of the reason why I am the way I am. I have this positive attitude, and it's mainly because my whole life I've been getting beat as a fan. And you have 2 options. You can either be the depressed, sad fan
Yeah.
that nobody wants to be around, or you're
Yeah.
the fan that every single year you say, "We're gonna win the national championship," and nobody will be able to ever go back on anything I've ever said and not say, "Dang, JP didn't call that."
Right.
No, I call it. I promise you, when South Carolina wins the national championship, you're going to be able to check the tape, and it's me at the beginning of the year is going to be saying, "South Carolina is going to win the national championship this year."
I love it. I love
So
it.
that hurt. That lost 2 weeks ago. We got a huge game. I'm actually get to go back to Columbia in 2 weeks to go to South Carolina Ole Miss. Boots on the ground. I'm doing everything I
That's
can
awesome.
possible to make sure we walk out of there with the W. So I'm pumped.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. Sorry, that was 2 weeks ago. Baby brains got me
No, hey, trust
in
me,
a
I needed
spiral.
that. I needed that.
That'll get you fired up here for the rest of the pod. But glad to hear you're in your space, man. It's been a crazy battle for you with rental situations, which is seriously super frustrating, and you've handled it with grace. I can't wait to see what locked in JP is, because
Oh, bro.
you've been awesome this whole time, and you wouldn't know that that's an annoying thing that's bugging you.
Hey, you about to meet a different beast.
Love
Um,
to hear it.
hey,
What do
but
we got next?
what we got next, since you are a dad, you got to start putting more money out there on the table. I don't care
It's
how
true.
much you're making right now, it's not enough because we need Shepard to grow up a king. And the best way to do that, or maybe we say the bet way, responsibly, of course, we have
Yeah.
to get our best bet of the day. This will be giving Shep some food, hopefully, on the table when Nicole does not want to do some breastfeeding. Now Steven will be able to step up, grab some stuff from the grocery store with the best bet of the day presented by Betway. Betway is the best place to place a bet. You have to be 19 and up to play, and it is in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Cannot stress this enough. Please play responsibly. Now,
Yes.
Steven, we have a lot of good value out there in Tokyo. Tell
Yeah.
us where you're going with it.
Tokyo. We're in the Asian swing now, and from the Asian people that I know, they love to gamble. I'm just gonna say they love to make a play. We all saw Squid Games. I don't know if that took place in Japan
Mm.
or China. I think it was China. Anyways, we love to play, and then, like JP said, in Tokyo at the ATP 500, we've got the outrights set for who's going to win the tournament. It's a small draw with a lot of great players. A lot of these guys were at the Laver Cup. Obviously, all were at the U.S. Open. Taylor Fritz is the number 1 seed, and they have him at plus 450 to win the title. I wouldn't take that because it's Taylor Fritz. No offense, JP, but it's just a guy. He's ATP 500s, and what?
He said he has a little shoulder thing going on too.
He did say that at the Laver Cup. Now, you love to be able to talk about an injury after a loss. You love to be able to have that in your back pocket, right?
This
Um,
man is such a hater.
oh, it's Team World. I got more to say about the Laver Cup coming up with Team World, and they're like, we're the fun team. Like, you know what? It's like, I honestly think the Team Europe team this year would be like more fun to hang out with, but it's just an English beer. It's an English thing. Like that's the only main advantage they have. Anyways, The list of guys here in Tokyo is great. They got Ben Shelton there at plus 1,000 to win. Wouldn't take that either. They got, so it goes Taylor Fritz, Hubert Hurkacz, Jack Draper, which, let's just be honest here. They got Jack Draper above Ben Shelton, Tommy Paul, Casper Ruud, Felix Auger-Aliassime. Like, am I missing something here? I know he just made the semifinals of the US Open. He was also puking on court while he was getting like thrashed by like Jannik Sinner, potentially showing that maybe he shouldn't have been there. But anyways, I don't want to feel like I'm a hater on Jack Draper as well. But who I would take out of all this is my guy Felix Auger-Aliassime plus 1,200 to win. He's a menace on the indoor hard courts. Actually, I gotta confirm that. It might actually not be indoor in Tokyo, but it is a hard court, and it's kind of in the season. Unfortunately, Felix thrives post US Open in a time where it really doesn't matter in these quick hard courts. And at plus 1,300 or plus 1,200, that's my value pick. JP, what do you think about that list that I just went through?
Yeah, I mean the list is insane, and the odds are also insane. Tell me, you have it pulled up right now, right?
Yeah.
What is Berrettini's?
Yeah, good point. Berrettini plus 1,400.
I don't hate that.
Francis Tiafoe plus 1,400 as well.
I really don't hate Berrettini because I feel like, I mean, he's been playing good.
Well, he's coming back, and you just know what he possesses. He's the Italian hammer.
Right. So, in a lot of these guys, like, let's see, Ben Shelton, Tiafoe, Fritz, they're all coming back from Laver Cup.
Yeah.
Draper, like you said. Man, yeah. I mean, I might could rock with Berrettini on this one.
Okay. Plus 1,400. That's a lot of value there. I think you're right about the Laver Cup. Fritz, Laver Cup, Shelton, Tiafoe. No chance they're winning. They're going to be tired. They're coming from Berlin to Tokyo. That's a long way.
Right.
The other guys get to show up early. So Felix is there. Didn't play Laver Cup this year. Casper Ruud also did play Laver Cup, so he's not winning.
Hey, do me a favor. Scroll all the way down. Tell me that last name on there.
Shintaro. Great name, by the way. Shintaro Mokizuki.
Yeah.
Plus 12,500.
And let me give y'all some game on my boy Shintaro. So Shintaro is from Japan, which is why he's in this draw.
Yeah.
Shintaro also gave me my first legit tennis racket that I've ever owned.
Really?
Because he was at IMG. He was fresh off winning Junior Wimbledon. And I was close with a lot of the Japanese kids at IMG. Shintaro was always gone. So we would always joke about like, man, you never get to hang out with us, yada, yada. I'm getting more into tennis. I'm keeping up with his journey more. He comes back from wherever he was at. He's like, JP, I got you this gift. Gives me the Babolat racket. I was like, yo, Shintaro, I'm riding you every tournament. You know, I'm putting some little bit of cash money on you. So,
well, that's an amazing story. Babolat racket. You still use it? Is it still your racket?
Oh yeah, of course. Definitely my racket of choice. So hopefully one day I'll become as good as him. And he made a little run at this tournament last year. So
it can always happen in the hometowns. Plus 12. If you put $2 on him and he ended up winning the tournament, you would make $252.
You heard it here first.
That's some game. Okay, that's a Betway best bet of the day, presented by our friends at Betway. Shout out to them for keeping the lights on here at the Slice, JP.
Yes, I actually just got a new light in the studio because of Betway.
That's what it's all about. That's what these partnerships are about. Commercial partnerships for the betterment of the tennis space.
Yes. So let's hit our results. Speaking of great lighting, the Laver Cup.
Yep.
I love the look of the Laver Cup, like aesthetically. I think it looks
clean.
So good.
Yeah. What do you think about the Laver Cup in general?
Oh man, I mean, I saw a tweet and somebody pretty much asked the same question, and I was pretty shocked to see almost every single reply said they hated it. for some of the reasons was there's no criteria for what players get selected. They were misled on this one. They're like, there's no what's it called? Like, there's no incentive to win, but according to Jack Sock, you make a bag if you do win.
Yeah, there's a lot of money for the winners. That's
yeah.
yeah.
So they're playing. But pretty much everybody didn't like it. And they thought like the ticket prices are too high, which I'm sure they are. But I love it. I love consuming all of the content from the Laver Cup. I would love to attend the Laver Cup. The energy they play with, the players play so much more loose. So there's all kinds of crazy shot making. And it just like, they're fired up. They're talking to the crowd. They're getting hype with their team. It's all the things I love about sports. I feel like I get to see it in tennis like during that week more so than any other week.
Yeah, I agree. I love the tournament, and it's funny to see the tennis Twitter people like dunking on it or hating on it, and it's like that is so tennis Twitter. They're like narking. They're like, it's not a Grand Slam, so they shouldn't care. And it's like they hate it, so they think that the players don't like it. But every single player that I talk to, they say it's like the best week of the year for them because it's like it's a team environment. That's the main thing that tennis misses out is the team aspect. Davis Cup has been like that for a while, but that's more like country. This is like the best players in the world all on a team. It's like for Europe, it's like Alcaraz, Zverev, Ruud, Medvedev, all the best players on one team versus all the best players from around the world. I think the format's awesome. Yes, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but the longer this thing goes on, the more it will be, and it's a great weekend of tennis. You can't in my opinion, you can objectively. I think it's tennis needed this, and it's been going on for like 6 or 7 years now, and it's a great rivalry. Yeah, like you want to be around it. It's a fun time for sure. But yeah, Team Europe gets the win. They were about to go down 3 years in a row to Team World, which is crazy. Team World didn't win. They actually crushed Team Europe here in Vancouver last year, which I was at.
Epic.
Which was actually crazy. This is an aside from a personal standpoint. That was crazy. It was a bit of with the media situation. We got like partial accreditation for the Laver Cup. I don't know if I ever told you about this.
No.
So I was like, it's in Vancouver. I'm literally from Vancouver Island. Like I'm here, and I applied. They like denied me accreditation, like most other places do. It's ran by Tennis Australia, so that's like it's like a weird collaboration. So they have no clue about what going on in Canada. But I said, hey. I'm the only tennis journalist on the West Coast here in Canada for sure. Like I literally it was one of those moments where I was just, it went no shame. She's like, you're not supposed to be here. I'm like, well, I just like, it's like the reception to the media area. I'm not a crazy person. Like, this is my thing. I was like, why can't I be like, why? Like, I just went to we had like a 10-minute essentially debate. And it was like, she could tell, I think that like, I'm like a real person. We're in like, like sometimes they just don't. And I don't blame them. They don't know. They're busy. They don't have time to actually check who's like a crazy internet blogger and who's someone with like a real platform and like real presence. And, I guess I'm going like, look at all these comments on the last video. Like, look at all like, hundreds of comments on the last video.
Show
like
the resume.
The reporters here on any newspaper are getting hundreds of comments on their article. Like I just like, and I had to go into all of that. It didn't help, but it made me feel like I was fighting against the machine. And I was like, oh, here's this video I did with, Casper Ruud, the guy who's playing on the court right there. Here's me and him for like 15 minutes, sit down. Like, it's just like,
so she let you in.
No, she didn't. They actually gave me a virtual accreditation. Actually, that was right before the tournament. They gave me virtual accreditation. And I was like, wait, does that get me into the press conference? They're like, no. I'm like, it's just so crazy. So that's what I mean about the whole like protecting the like biggest, like I only want you there if you are like from a big newspaper that no one reads and you've been in the media for like 30 years and you guys are all friends essentially, which is what it is.
Virtual accreditation might be the wildest thing I've ever
heard. I'm like, I get it. If I was based in Rio de Janeiro and I wasn't coming to the Laver Cup,
right.
I would get that. I'm like, I've been telling you, I'm literally camped outside right now. My home is actually beside Rogers Arena. And you're like, yeah, we're not going to let you in the premises, but we will give you virtual accreditation. So you can just promote the Laver Cup for free. You're not going to be able to ask any questions or do anything, but we just want you to promote it for free.
They're like, "Hey, Steven, this is the channel it's on. You can watch it here."
Yeah, they're like, here's actually where the channel is, and here's a few photos that are. You can just go to our Twitter and use the photos that we post there, and just retweet those. It
Oh my
was great,
god.
and then of course, like it doesn't even work. I mean, it was. I could watch real time the press conferences, but it's just craziness, man. That's what we're up against, JP. But we will get through it one day together.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get our get back.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
for
be great.
sure.
And things have already changed this year with National Bank Open. That was sick. Tennis Canada shout out. So we're back on better graces. That was a unfortunate moment for everyone. Yeah. Anyways, that was funny. Okay, Laver Cup in general though, sick event. We love it. And Team Europe won. We saw Alcaraz out there for Team Europe. That was his first time, and people do people forget, like he goes out there and wins, and you're like, yeah, he's the best player on earth. I'm sorry,
dude. But to your point, it's like, not that I forgot, but it's like you obviously know he's the best. But then when you go and watch the match, you're like, holy crap. Did I forget exactly how high this man, like the high level he can play at? Because some of his shots against Fritz.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, bro. Like getting his racket on the serve, sprinting across the court, and then just like ripping one back. I'm like, and so, I'm telling you, something about the lighting there too. It makes them all look so much faster, and like makes the ball look faster too.
Yeah. And that is Alcaraz. There was a question in the press conference afterwards, which were all the players were getting like upset at the reporters, and Johnny Mac had a hilarious point. He's like, "Hey, please only ask questions you don't know the answer to," which was like hilarious. But then this lady goes, "Hey, Taylor, you just lost to Yannick Sinner, and now you just lost to Carlos Alcaraz. Clearly they're a step ahead of everyone else. How did that make you feel?" And then Ben Shelton goes, "What is this question?" And I wanted to go, sorry, pause. What did this reporter just say that was incorrect? Sorry, Ben. Like, I know you're so offended that he said they're above. Sorry, can you point out exactly what she said that was wrong?
But see, on Ben's defense, I do understand where they're coming from. Of like, yeah, I mean, nobody's arguing that they're, Sinner and Alcaraz are a step above. But it's like, yo, you couldn't have thought of like a little bit different way to word this question. / if you're them, hopefully, I would want them to react like that, but like, kind of in a more internal, like pissed off way, like, all right, bet, like everybody thinks these two just can't be touched.
Yeah.
Let me use this little moment, and then you better be at this next tournament when I do beat one of them, and then ask me this question if I'm really am that much worse.
I think it's like, I think the reporter, like, I don't even think it was phrased in that like much of a in an aggressive way. It's just like these guys are like a little bit fragile about it because it's true. Probably it's like they know it's true, and they're like, and he was just saying, like, the reporter was like, "Hey, you just played Sinner, and you just played Alcaraz. Like, where?" I think he was like saying, like, "Can you contrast their games? Like, did you feel closer at the U.S. Open, or did you feel closer today?" And then Taylor Fritz, who has less ego than Ben Shelton, I would say, said, "Yeah, like today against Alcaraz, I felt way less close than I did against Sinner."
Yeah.
And then if you look at the Sinner match, it wasn't that close either. So, but he said like he just felt way more rushed. It was different surface speeds and stuff. But I got a crack out of that whole like little, like, I love that, like the reporter just asks, like, it's like a factual thing. It's like, clearly they're a step ahead. So what are you guys gonna?
But then that was, they felt like, oh, that's unnecessary. Like, you didn't have to just
Yeah, they probably did, but it's like they all know it's true.
For sure. I'm
They know it's
team
true.
Ben Shelton on this one.
Ben Shelton knows it's true. Prove me wrong, Ben. Go beat one of them in a match that matters. No, but we'll talk about, or maybe we should just talk about the press conferences now, since we're on the topic.
Yeah, we can for sure.
Yeah, like those were.
It was all time, dude. Like it started out immediately electric because John McEnroe somehow gets to the point where he's like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much was tasting the champagne in my lips. Like I could see it happening. I felt the cup in my hand, drinking it, probably talking to you guys a little bit more inebriated than I am now.
Tiafoe was like, I was already unscrewing it in the hallway. Like I was,
dude,
we were in it. So funny.
And I do love the what it felt like, because Tiafo and, man, who is he cracking up with?
Kokonakis.
Yes, but across, he and it wasn't Shelton. Somebody like further off, they just like kept kind of looking back and like dying laughing. It reminded me so much of when you have a substitute teacher in class and they're talking, and you and your boy are just like going like the teacher has no idea, you're just dying laughing in the background, and y'all have the dumbest inside jokes. You're just going nuts. That's what that press conference reminded me of like just how a class acts when a substitute teacher is there.
Yeah, for sure. Like was that your favorite part? Like the Johnny Mac, like the champagne moment. I thought that was so good. I thought the one where he like asked the reporter, only ask questions you don't know the answer to.
Yeah, and then because then the very next question was, oh man, it was from a guy that McEnroe just gave all this praise to, and the other reporter was like, "Oh, so you make fun of me and he gets all the praise?" He was like, "Oh, I mean." So he said something funny back to him. And I was like, God, McEnroe.
He's like, he was like, I was roasting you nicely, but he said like the guy's question was like, hey, so you're done, you're not the captain anymore. How do you feel about your time here at the Laver Cup as the captain for the last 7 years, ending tonight with a loss? Or the question was like phrase something like that. He's like, well, that's a great way to bring that up. I was really hoping to. He's like, that's not a good time to ask me this. I think when I'm, just thought I was about to win.
Yeah.
So that was hilarious. And then did you see the part about Kokonakis talking about, they're like, Kokonakis has this like aura around him where he's like the party guy, which is definitely probably true.
Right.
We talked about that. So other reporters kind of get a kick out of like, oh, you're going to say something crazy. And then they were like, where are you going to go tonight or something? And then he brought up like Sasha Zverev, like the place that he told them to go if they won. And he's like, I wonder what he's like. I'm not going to say where it was, but I was like, if he goes there, like, he's got some demons to work out, bro. That was crazy.
That was
what was that place?
I know, right? I like, if we ever see him, we have to ask him. And I do love how he responded when the Australian reporter asked a question, and he was like, yeah, I bet Johnny Mac probably just wishing he didn't pick me for the team. He's like, I played absolutely terrible, but it's not a big deal at all. Like, it's not like it was a huge stage with a sold out crowd or anything. So I'm super happy with how it went. I'm like, I need more of this in actual press conferences.
Yeah, that's he's great. He's very funny, very like self-aware guy with that. And like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, these players, they play bad matches all the time for themselves, and no one cares. But then it's like they feel more pressure at the Laver Cup than they do at a lot of regular tournaments that count for points and like matter to them. So like, it's people who say it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter to the fans. It probably doesn't really matter to the fans, to be honest.
Right.
But it matters to the players. Yeah, Kokonakis is funny.
I think it's tough to say what gets the number one moment of the press conference, but this one has to be up there. And it's when the reporter asked Dimitrov if he was going to hold up his end of the bet with Zverev, and dude, all the players just pretty much are forcing the reporter, like, wait, what was it? I can't really remember. And of course, it's a girl. It's like, oh, well, no. Sasha said that you would get naked after you won, and they're like, she wants to see it.
She get naked right now. Carlos was going crazy. Carlos is like, ah.
Carlos is dying, bro. He is like, he has freshman year energy to like, if you're in college, he's the freshman that's just stoked about like everything going on at college.
Yeah, he's like, did you see him on the bench? Like, there was like these shots of him on the bench, like doing like the upside down bridge, like just like thrusting in the air, like when his team's doing well.
Just that one friend at the sleepover that like his parents don't let him have caffeine ever, and then he gets to have like 4 Mountain Dews, and he's just off the walls.
Yeah, he's like the junior that they invited onto their team, who's like subsequently also the best player. He's just like, out there just does. He's like, yeah, he's a menace. Like, he apparently, like we talked about it before, after he wins these tournaments at the US Open, he just goes and parties with his boys for like a week. He's just absolutely crazy on those trips.
He's so wholesome too. Like,
yeah, like in a crazy in a good way.
Exactly.
Like not Conor McGregor way. Like
thank God. Gosh.
Anyways, yeah, the Laver Cup, man, it's a good time. Next year, JP,
San Francisco.
Might have to make a trip of it. might have to make a trip of it. Maybe we'll get accreditation after if they listen to this podcast. Probably not, but
No, we will.
Essentially they don't anyway, so that's why we didn't. So
We're gonna hit every California tournament. We're gonna hit Indian Wells and we're gonna hit Laver Cup.
Let's go.
Next one. Hangzhou Open.
These names are going to be tough. I'm just going to say right now to the continent of Asia, I'm apologizing on JP's behalf for the pronunciations that are about to come your way. Hey, other than Tokyo, I think it might be rough.
They need to, but real quick, my white flag, I watch a lot of anime, so I'm very invested into the culture, Japanese culture specifically. But yes, I'm an ally.
But no hate. So wait, are we on Chengdu or are we on Hangzhou?
We're on Hangzhou.
Right. So do you have the result there? Well, the result's not over. Yeah. It's like a weird scheduling thing. Like the final's tomorrow, I think.
The biggest note from Hangzhou and Chengdu is 2 Chinese people both in the final.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Which is massive.
Mouratoglou also in the final. Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Chilich, man. And then
Mouratoglou with the wild card makes the final.
Yeah, it is epic. And then who is Jerry playing in Chengdu? Oh, Musetti.
Musetti, yeah. So number 1 seed Musetti, that's nice.
So
Italian shows up into China.
Yeah, a little side story with my guy Jerry. He was also at IMG, and before he enrolled at school there, he played in Eddie Hare, and so that big juniors tournament.
Yeah.
And so I was just out there making edits from the tournament, and at the time the glow effect was really popular amongst the editors, and so I made this edit of I didn't even know it was Jerry at the time, but he was just a smooth left-handed player. So on camera, it looked great, filming his matches. And so I made this little light up edit where somebody had a pretty bad return and he was setting up for a huge forehand winner. And as he was approaching the ball, I try to make his racket pretty much glow yellow with a scribble animation.
Oh yeah.
And then at the time it looked cool. When you look back at it now, you're like, oh my God, this looks terrible. But it was cool because then I got to know Jerry a little bit because I tag him in the video. He's like, "Oh, thanks so much." He's like the nicest dude ever. So always fun to see him ball out.
Love to see him in the final there of Chengdu, and that's a good opportunity there against Musetti.
Yeah,
the artist from Italy.
Hey, but those
tournaments are ongoing. Normally on Monday we're recapping the result, but those are ongoing. Laver Cup is done. I think that just JP adds the whole a little bit strangeness of this season or this section of the season post US Open.
Yeah, man. One of the reasons I do like it is because you do see people like Jerry and some of these other players that aren't as well known. They make these runs in these tournaments and it builds them some nice confidence pretty much going into the next season. So it is a great opportunity for some of those guys. From a viewership standpoint, it's tougher, time change, the names, and as Alcaraz was saying in the press conference, he's like, the schedule is going to kill us. There's going to be so many injuries, and some of this schedule feels a little bit forced. I know the Asian market's a huge market, but you're not going to have a market if your big players are injured and can't play. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the length of the season, that's what everyone talks about, is always if the season ended now and they were able to get the Asian swing in there earlier, I think people would be a lot more happy. But right. And then at the same time, in our next story here, we got players who aren't making any money even though they're playing all the time, so they can't afford to have a shorter season. Only the top guys can afford to have a shorter season. So and Iga Swiatek, who's not playing at the China Open, and that is also coming next week. We're starting here pretty soon. She can afford to just not play these big tournaments. So but the schedule, I think beyond even just the injuries for the players, like, yeah, I think tennis fans get a little they get worn out with carrying. There's no more majors left to play for, so there's no major build up. There's there's the year end championships, which are pretty hype. But what I think, like I don't mind this part of the season. It seems a little bit like, it's where the real tennis fans kind of keep watching, and the people
Yeah.
who are just like, it's the watch, they're not watching anymore. And that's fine with me. That's everyone here on the slice. That's
Mhm.
and we love that we also welcome like whoever, like new people, and like, if you're wanting to watch tennis and keep watching with the tour, this is how you do it. You like follow the Asian swing, and then it goes back to Europe. And those times are a bit better for like the people in the North America like us. It's just like they're like early morning matches, or like when you're working, you can have it on like a tab on your computer when you're working. It's not bad. And then, but from here, it's like, mid September, late September. It is really like 6 weeks, and then the season's over. So we're getting down here to the end of the season. And yeah, I don't mind at all. And like you said, some players shine, like Felix Auger-Aliassime 2 years ago when I was in Europe, won 3 tournaments in a row, and we're like, ooh, is that going to prepare him for the next year? It did
Right.
not. So sometimes, it's a little bit of its own thing. Like doesn't seem to be a lot of carryover from this season, part of the season, sorry, to like the Australian Open, for example. But
Yeah.
there's lots of money to be made, lots of points to be won in this part of the season. That's for sure.
Huge cash grab time of the year. I think it could be a good time of the year too if they did want to implement, like, I don't know, just new like fun things for fans during the tournaments. I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier, just like the jersey numbers for players and whatnot. I don't know
Yeah.
how you do it. Billie Jean King was talking about different ways to get more people into tennis and get players like more money. She brought up how it's like the only sport where there's no merch that people can buy. There's no jersey sales. No jersey sales can go back to players. So
Yeah.
it could be like a good trial period for people with these ideas. Like, hey, maybe after US Open, we implement some of these things and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea. The jersey thing, it makes you think, yeah, like there is nothing. And that's why the Laver Cup is so essential. Like the team aspect that's missing
Right.
from tennis makes it harder for fans to follow as well. Cause like if your player's injured or whatever, it's like weird just being like a fan of a sport. Like that's
Right.
essentially what you become when you're a tennis fan. You're like, I
Yeah.
am a tennis fan, rather than like people are like nobody's like I'm an NBA fan. I guess maybe they are, but like I guess you're like
Right.
a fan of the sport. Like you enjoy. Oh, I watch basketball. I watch hockey. That's my sport. But if you're like an Edmonton Oilers fan, like I am, it's not like you're not like I love the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're like I actually hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I
Yeah.
don't want to watch them. But so yeah, I think tennis does miss out on a lot, and that's a good idea. The
Dude.
jerseys. I wonder how they would do that though. Like, what would they look like? It would just be like
So
players create your own jersey.
Sitton had a good idea. Because numbers, that would be a whole crazy thing. But if they did it by country, because there's only so many players from each country, and then you could choose
Yeah,
your number that way. But I guess
I like that.
and then Laver Cup honestly would be an awesome place to do those because you could
Yeah,
buy Francis Tiafoe's Laver Cup jersey, which would be pretty
yeah,
sick. What
yes.
what what player who would be the first player you buy their jersey?
Well, retired now, but Roger Federer for sure.
Hmm.
Felix Auger-Aliassime, Canadian Chapeau, Medvedev. But I think it would be cool, like if players design their own jerseys and like so there's a lot of players from American players, but they would incorporate like their home state, things
Right.
that they like into it and make it like fresh, and maybe have like one designer for the tour where it's like the players have their own kind of like like NBA, all the NBA or NHL jerseys are like different, but they follow like a similar. Oh, if they're like
Mm,
an Adidas, they all have 3 stripes. It's all like kind of coherent in some way. That could make it all pretty cool, I think.
yeah. So something now, I mean, I would definitely be buying some jerseys. Something we need to get out there for anybody listening with some influence. Get out this idea about the jerseys that Billie Jean had. She'll probably be able to make it happen. But
Yeah,
jersey
sounds good.
sales, if you got an expert marketer It could help the people at the challenger level. Everybody can fall in love with the underdog. They could fall in love with our boy Karue-Sell, who's 30-year-old YouTuber that just cracked the top 300. Steven, take it away on this one.
Yeah, Karue-Sell is just a guy who is doing something really cool in the tennis world, and he's been doing it for a long time. My Tennis HQ was his YouTube channel that I believe is just primarily a coaching channel. He was a pro player, or in the past, I believe in 2018, he had been up to around the 400 level ranking in the world. And then it dipped, but all through that time, I believe he was making videos on YouTube like we are. About tennis, and it's very popular, and he was a very popular guy. And then in the last 12 months, 18 months, he's like, you know what, it's like he calls it going pro at 30. It's like a whole series on his channel. So he just takes you through like going and playing all these futures events mostly in South America. He's actually Brazilian. He lives in the US now. But yeah, him going and playing. And the funny thing is he's 30, so he's a lot of these players like 20, a lot of these players are still 30. Like there's a wide range of players who are, in the lower ranks of the pro world. But he's got like, as a coach, you get these fundamentals, and you get like the really analytical way to see the game that I feel like he's been able to kind of, abuse people with. Like he knows the game better than his opponents for sure. And he might not be as fast anymore, but he's still in great shape. He's strong, but he knows how to play tennis, and he's getting all these wins, and he's just consistently winning. So if you look at his ranking over the last, even since, so in 20, it says, I think, in 2022, he was ranked 1400 in the world. Last year, he got up to 860 only, but that's essentially where he started. But so now he's up to, 299. And that's not too far out of, and he talks about this on his channel. Like he said, like that's not only a few spots outside of getting direct entry into the Australian Open qualifying, which is like, that's where you start to like really, if you win a few rounds there, you can get a lot more points, and you just never know. So that's like one of the better stories, I feel like, in the world of tennis, and he's doing it in his own way. Like he has more influence than like a lot of top 100 players for sure on the internet. And his fans, like he has more fans than like a lot of like even like top 50 players probably, which is crazy. So that's got to be like, if he does keep getting better and better, and like if he's at like gets into ATP 250s or like bigger challengers, it'd be cool to go to his matches and see like people, like he would be one of the bigger stars there for sure, compared to all these other challenger players who have essentially no following outside of their Instagram.
Yeah. And I love this too, because underneath that tweet that we're talking about from him, UTR Sports, their Twitter account, they replied, "You're doing an awesome job letting people in on the financial story of what it takes to be a pro player. We hope to provide some help to aspiring pros through our PTT, the UTR Pro Tennis Tour events. Any thoughts on them for other players looking to follow your footsteps?" His response, "Thank you. Go play college tennis."
Yeah, that's funny. He's a funny guy. He's a success story. Yeah, everyone wants the UTR. It's like classic. It's like another random, like the UTR rating system is cool. It's great for college tennis. Like it helps you kind of figure out how good players actually are when they come to get recruited for college. But yeah, everyone wants a piece of Karue-Sell right now because he's very popular. Got a lot of people watching his things because people really connect to the story around a person, right?
Right.
And I don't know, it makes you feel weird. Like I was playing my tournament a few weeks ago, and I had this in my head. I was literally thinking about him, and I was like, he's like going pro at 30. I'm like, I could go pro at 30. I'm turning 30 this year.
Come on. Maybe,
but it's like you forget he was already pro, and he was already like a really good college player, and he was already way better than I've ever been. So don't start thinking that you're gonna go pro just because he went pro on YouTube. Just saying.
But also, we need Karue. You gotta enter into a challenger doubles and add Steven as your partner, and I will film it, and we'll make a banger video.
That would be awesome. Karue would get an injury from carrying me for sure. If that was to be the case, I would be like a weight tied around his ankle as he tried to swim across a lake. Just to paint a picture there for you. But that would be great. And the funny thing is, he brought this up. If you literally look at his ATP bio right now, it shows he's 299. It's his all-time career high. And in 2024, which he's been very active the whole time, he's only made 25,000 in prize money in like 8 months of work. So pretty crazy. Some would say unlivable.
Right. And to put that in perspective, pretty much making the main draw of a Grand Slam, that's like 1/4 of what you make.
Yeah, you make
Maybe
100 grand
like
for losing
1/3.
in the first round of the US Open.
Yeah. So
So
that is
yeah,
nuts. Yeah, he said I'd make more money working at McDonald's. But also
yeah, which
no
is
disrespect to
true.
McDonald's.
Shout out McDonald's. But yeah, like here's one for example. This is a futures M15 in which means there's 15 points, I believe, for the winner. In San is that supposed to be Diego? Yeah, San Diego. Yeah, he made the final, lost in the final, but he made $1,200 for that week for winning 4 matches and losing in a close match in the final. Challenger, he went down to Brazil to play a challenger. I actually played a bunch of challengers there, and he lost in the first round of one and made $400. And then he made the quarterfinals of another one after coming through qualifiers. So he won 1, 2, 3, 4 matches, then lost, and he made $1,100, which so you're just barely skimming by. You're losing money most weeks. You're making money some weeks, I would say. But that's the grind, I guess. That is just the grind. He's trying to make change happen. That I don't know if it will. It seems very like trickle down economics in tennis. So, like we need to pay the top players $10 billion for these challenger players to get enough to live on. And until that happens, shut up. No, but that's Ahmad Nassar, who we had on the channel last week. Obviously, they're trying to help that. They're trying to make it better for the players.
Let's go. They will get there. Karue, Steven and I are both going to reach out to him. He might be watching right now. Karue, I'm about to send you a DM. Steven's going to send you a DM. Respond back. We'll get an electric podcast going. 2 people that are not strapped for money. Naomi Osaka.
Great
and
intro.
her new coach, Coach Pat.
Wow, Coach Pat. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone call him that before. I like that.
Dude, I know. Literally, as I was thinking about it and teeing this part up, I was like, this could stick for him. So hopefully, Coach Pat, if you see this, I might have just leveled up your insane career even more.
Well, he calls himself the coach, right? Which is that's funny in its own thing. He's been the coach of Serena Williams, Simona Halep, Holger Rune. He went over to the men's side, which not a lot of coaches can do. Darren Cahill obviously did it very well. And now he is he's with Naomi Osaka. They just showed up in Beijing together. And yeah, pretty crazy. One point I had there, JP, was Naomi Osaka's longtime coach, Wim Fissette. The storyline there is he was with Naomi since 2019 when she had her child. Obviously, she left the tour. So she went and went with Qinwen Zheng there and they were working together. And then when Naomi Osaka came back to the tour, he just immediately was like, peace out, Qinwen, thanks for the time, and just went right back to Naomi. And that was fall 2023, so about a year ago. And then he gets fired now after they've had some success, but definitely results wise has not been what she would have wanted after winning 4 majors in her career so far. And I don't know, you kind of love to see that karma, don't you, JP? Like nothing against him, but loyalty needs to be rewarded, or disloyalty needs to be punished.
What they say, man. I think I maybe said it last podcast. Karma is not a bitch. Karma is a mirror. So, Wim, I don't know if you deserve that bar that I just spit on you right there. You might not, but you probably could use it going on with your next player, whoever you choose to be. How would you feel, Steven, if your coach left you? He joins you, y'all have some success, and then his ex comes back into the picture and leaves. Would you be sick, or would you be like, you understand?
I'd be sick. Yeah. And Qinwen, she like roasted him, I believe, when that happened. Like she was vocal about it. I love it. And yeah, I would be like, bro, I'd be like, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Actually, I hope it does hit you. And and I would be waiting for I would be like Dave Portnoy from Barstool. I would have a bottle ready for when he gets fired by that, like Naomi Osaka, which is so good.
Yeah.
Because that relationship, there was no payoff for him leaving to go back to Naomi Osaka. They won
Right.
nothing. They won they played a couple good matches. They won a few matches in tournaments. But there was no like, we've made it back to the top. She's still very far from the top. That's why she's hired Patrick. So that would be, if I was Kin Wen, I would be like popping a bottle in celebration of that, which is very petty. That's very petty, but
Hey, yeah. She's probably just staring at her ranking, looking like, oh, dang, you went back to that?
You went back to that. But yeah, JP, I don't know if, as a Patrick Mouratoglou, he's a very famous coach, obviously Serena Williams coach for a long time. And then Simona Halep, then Holger Rune. It's going to be interesting to see, right? And I think one of our comments was like, these people are like commercial powerhouses. Like Naomi Osaka has when she was winning, she was the most popular tennis player in the world on the women's side for sure, and she was an icon. From Japan, she huge. She was, I believe, the highest paid women's tennis player by far, and she's continued to generate revenue commercially. And Patrick Mouratoglou is all about this storyline, all about doing his own thing, movers and shakers. So I wonder how much of this partnership is like commercially interested versus just like from a pure tennis play. What do you think?
I think if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And I feel like this is a social media. It's way more social media involved than it is tennis involved. I hate to say that because I know they're both putting in tons of time to make it work. But I mean, it's hard to just ignore the fact that he loves Instagram. Her whole team is built around her image, her presence on social media.
Yeah.
So, and I do wonder from the business side, this is just a complete theory that I had come up in my head. I'm like, I wonder if she has any sort of investment because he's opening 2 new academies in the States, in Atlanta and then one in Florida. So I'm like, I wonder if there's even a bigger picture.
Like if they're both a part of they're coaches, they're in a coach player relationship and they're business partners. I guess that's kind of what you're like anyways when you're in those relationships. But yeah, for me, it seems hard to be like, does Naomi Osaka canvas all the coaches that were available in the world? And they're just like, he's just the best fit personally and qualification wise. Seems a little hard to believe. And again, not saying that he's obviously been super successful as a coach of Serena Williams and Simona Halep. But yeah, it just seems like, there's just 2 of the most, biggest names in tennis pairing up. It's definitely one of those, in my opinion, one of those celebrity coaching relationships. And we'll see how it goes. It could absolutely work. It could absolutely not. If it doesn't work, it'll just look like more of what they were producing with Wim Fissette. So it's not, at the end of the day, it is up to the player. So it's going to be interesting to watch. That's all I got to say.
It doesn't, it's interesting to me because I feel like you'd want to, if you're a player, you either want a coach that's going to complement your personality or that is like the opposite of you so that they do like bring it out and push you hard and all of those things. And I definitely feel like Coach Pat is the opposite of Osaka when it comes to personality and everything. So I'm interested to see how their personalities mesh together. So
it'll be interesting because remember, she doesn't want to talk to the media. It stresses her out. She doesn't want the limelight. She wants to play. Just wants to play.
Is this who you want to hire if you just want to play?
I just want to play. It's not good for me to talk to the media or be on social media. I just want to play tennis, but also with Patrick Mouratoglou. Interesting. Very interesting.
We'll
so
see.
That's funny. We'll get to watch that go forward. Let us know what your thoughts are below in that partnership in the comment section below. Viewers, it's an interesting one. But so yeah, are you smashing or I guess this is a good segue, JP. Are you smashing or passing on that partnership?
I'm smashing because it's entertainment, and I would love to see pretty much either way it works out. It's good because if it fails, it's kind of like we were just saying, all the things we just said. And if they succeed, it's like, oh snap, there's going to be a ton of like buzz around it. They're going to do a great job with all the storylines throughout the year, the more successful she is. And that will be really cool to watch, because with him, you probably get a little bit of more inside look to the season than you normally would. So I will smash. I'm very interested to watch how it plays out. What are you doing?
For sure. Yeah, I smash too, because I do think Patrick Mouratoglou is good for tennis, and I'm not really a Naomi Osaka fan in general. Like I'm not like, I don't dislike her. She's just not like, she's not one of the players that is like my favorite.
Right.
But I
It goes
think
like
that
Djokovic, Osaka,
that's right.
Taylor
Yeah.
Fritz, Ben Shelton.
If I say anything that's not like celebratory of a player, JP's like thinks I have them on my hit list, which is not completely untrue for some of those players you just mentioned. But I just think from it's good for fan if for
Right.
tennis entertainment either way. If it works out, that's great for entertainment. You'll see everyone's reaction to it, because there's a lot of people who don't like Patrick Mouratoglou. You'll see a lot of like, that's funny for me to watch. And then if it doesn't work out, you'll see the reactions either way. Like it'll just be comedy in general. So I'm a fan of it. I don't care what happens. So yeah, I'll smash the partnership based on that.
Next one, we can just group these together. Laver Cup
Sure.
press conferences.
Yeah, absolute smash. I mean, these press conferences are great. Way more fun than the individual ones, or like at the US Open or like tournaments where it's just all about one. I feel like they got the reporters get a little more feisty, ask questions that they might not want to do, take some risks, and the guys are up there, they're getting paid, they're having drinks, and they're dunking on reporters if they need to, which there was a lot of that this time, and it was fun. So yeah, total smash. What about you?
Yes, smash, but have they already named coaches for next year or no?
I believe Andre Agassi is the coach.
You're right. You're so right.
Yeah, Team World.
Okay, so I just really hope he can bring the same energy that John McEnroe brings, because the bar has been set high by him. Like, to me, that is the exact coach you want at that event, that personality type.
Yeah.
So smashing these ones, but I could see with a few bad hires, I could see myself passing if we're not fostering a good press conference atmosphere in the years forward.
Laver Cup coaching watchdog, JP Hovey. He's going to be
he's got to be Federer next year if I had to guess, but
yeah, I don't know who the European one is, but yeah, I don't think it's been announced, but that would be great. But
yeah, I heard he turns up during Laver Cup too.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he does. It's like his event. Like, so he shows up. And there's actually a crazy story about, I think I've said it on the pod, but in Vancouver, like we were watching from our seats. We were in the cheap seats because again, no media accreditation.
We were watching at the time.
Yeah, that's true. And we could see Federer down like right behind the base, like the baseline in one of the seats. And like, it's always in a new arena. So every year they're trying to figure out, it's not like Wimbledon where they just have everything dialed. There's no surprises. So they didn't have like any security around him at all, which is like kind of crazy. So like during the match, these like lineups start to form at the top of his aisle, and then there'll be like a changeover, and people who don't sit in that section are just running down to get autographs. So there's like 30 people waiting right beside him to get autographs. And then security finally figures out, and they're like, no. But then he tries to leave at the end of the match, and people just like overrun the security guards, and he's getting like swarmed. And I'm just like, that's crazy. If I would be so pissed if I was him. Yeah, he like literally can't move. He's going to get like crowd crushed. So yeah, he does show up, and people love it. We saw him in Vancouver. That was very cool.
That's awesome.
He does show up.
You're like, Fed, remember me? Practice courts, Miami?
That was Miami. Yeah, that was so sick. That was an all-time. Still trying to get back to those heights as far as tennis media. Unfortunately, it was like 5 years ago.
Oh, we will for sure.
Yeah. Are we including this one in there? I guess smash or pass Billie Jean King's idea for player jerseys.
Love it. I'm smashing. I'm ready to support the players. They can get kickback from these jerseys. Everybody wins. I'm happy with my new merch. They're happy because they get a percentage of the sales. and
Yeah.
it could make for an even better atmosphere. You really get to see which side the fans are on, because you know how tennis fans are. They can be cheering just for a great point, but when
Yeah.
you take pride when you have ownership of something. So it's like, man, I'm
Yeah.
proud to be a Tiafoe fan, and I'm gonna love when I get to meet another one. You already have common ground, so
For
smash.
sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I'm smashing it. I think it's a good idea. Like fans already do that. They're like, they're kind of like, if it's Djokovic, you'll see them wearing like the Djokovic shirts and all this stuff. And like
Right.
for other players who are like less, a lot of times they'll wear their country's flag. Like, so if I support
Mhm.
Alexi Popper, and I'm just going to wear like an Australian thing, but it would be
Yeah.
better if it's like, oh, that's the Alexi Popper in like jersey. That's the Alexi Popper in like official merch.
Right.
So we got this in common. And it's like every year or every like, every Grand Slam kind of season, they come out with new variations of it. Like, oh, what's the updated jersey? Like, that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge smash on that idea.
And then I'll throw you one last one.
Okay.
Mash or pass. Babies peeing through their diapers.
Pass. It's better than pooing through their diapers, which has not happened yet.
Dang, bro,
So
you changed,
but
man.
definitely not. When this is the crazy thing about parenting. When you love this little thing, you're like, it's his pee is like, it's not even, doesn't even seem messy. You're just like, I gotta clean you up so you feel better. It's like the most natural thing ever. It's like, hey, dude, I'm gonna pee wherever as a man, I pee where I want to pee. You pee where you want to pee. Respect. You can pee on me. Do your thing. Do your thing, young king.
Hopefully P. Diddy is not listening to this, or P. Diddy or R. Kelly is not listening to this. They might have found a new target.
Jesus. Keep little Shepherd out of P. Diddy's conversation. That's crazy.
No, hey, that was you. You said you can pee on me. I don't care. I don't want R. Kelly hearing that, thinking, "Oh, let
I
me
don't want
get
R.
my
Kelly
guy."
taking any liberties. Like, hey, you can pee on me as well. I'm like, no, he can't. Oh, that's funny. I was just listening to Tim Dillon talk about that whole saga. He's
Yeah.
one of the funniest.
Don't let the Diddy tapes leak.
I was watching Cat Williams talk about it, and he goes, "Look, the truth will set you free. The truth will be out." I love it. There's no better feeling, I would imagine, than knowing you don't have anything like that to hide. Like there's nothing
Dude.
anyone can find that's anything like that on me in my life, and I just love it.
Because when Cat Williams was the first one to come out and say it, and it was during the time people were like, "Oh, Cat Williams is crazy. This man talking out of his butt, blah blah blah." And then next thing you know, Cat Williams sitting there doing a classic Cat Williams face.
Yeah,
So hopefully they all go down.
I want them to all go down. Anyone who's committed crimes like that, go down and burn.
Yes, burn.
Anyways, this podcast ended on a weird spot, I would say.
No, we needed it. It needed to be addressed.
Needed to be addressed. Fair enough. Tennis has not done enough to, fight against pedophiles.
Exactly.
Anyway, so what are we looking forward to on the schedule? We're in the Asian swing now. We've got on the ATP side, we've got Tokyo ATP 500 and the Japan Open. Sorry, those are the same things. We got Tokyo and Beijing ATP 500s going down here. They start on they start tomorrow, I think, essentially. Yeah. Which is funny. And then on the women's side, the WTA 1000 China Open, Iga Swiatek not there. Arina Sabalenka is there. Everyone else is there. Navarro, Coco Gauff, Pegula, everybody. So yeah, big tournaments coming forward. I'm already looking forward to next week's podcast, JP. We're going to have more like actual tennis to talk about.
Yeah.
And we will be getting back in the driver's seat with the Slice episodes in general for you guys to all take in as we get through this kind of more, I would say, tennis fan only season, part of the season. So it's going to be good.
Let's go. That is
the Slice.
Yes, that is the Slice. Thank everybody for watching. Thank you for leaving the comments. Appreciate your time. Now go, when you leave here, go tell your best friend, hey, I need you to go subscribe to the Slice. This guy, Steven, he just had a kid. And the more subscribers we can get him, the better life he can provide for his baby boy, Shepherd. So please help Steven in this journey becoming the best dad he can be.
Don't leave Shepherd out to dry. He needs to eat food right now. And It's like you're subscribing is like the difference between him eating food and not.
Yes. 1 subscribe equals 1 bottle of milk. So think about that next time you're on the page and not subscribed.
That's right. We're on the road to 20,000. We're almost there. We're going to get there by the end of the year. I'm determined. And so you can help us do that. So anyways, thanks for listening to the podcast. JP, another great one. That's the podcast. We will see you next time here on The Slice.
Peace.